Welcome into another Running with the Timberwolves podcast. Kind of a different one today. Usually I'm talking Timberwolves, I'm talking the general NBA. Today we are talking instant reaction to the Trae Young trade that just came in. And if you listen to the podcast for a while, you may know that usually I do a lot of prep for podcasts. I get ready, I do a lot of prep. I get opinions and get stats and special things to talk about during the podcast. Today is a little more free form. I'm trying it out. Just want to talk about the trade that went down, the first domino to fall in the NBA trade season, as Trae Young was traded to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Cody Kispert and CJ McCollum. And you got to start with the overall trade grades, and I'll get to that in just a second. But first, make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. And check out 612 Tees. They got awesome Minnesota Timberwolves tees. Check them out, 612 Tees. Use Run25 or use the link in the description to get 25% off your first purchase. So overall trade grades, let's start with the Washington Wizards. And I got to be honest, I give this an A. I think this is fantastic for the Washington Wizards. And what you got to remember is not every team is trying to win a championship. This is not a move that is going to move the needle for Washington to win a championship. It's a lot easier in the Eastern Conference, I will say that, than if they were in the West. If they were in the Western Conference, no chance. I honestly think that with Trae Young, the Washington Wizards could sneak into the 10 seed in the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying that they will, and it's going to take some time for the team to gel, definitely. But if the right pieces fall in place, I think they could do it. And I think there is incentive to want to do it, because ever since Porzingis left and Westbrook, it's just been a mess in Washington. They had the whole Kyle Kuzma debacle. Not even debacle, just weird fit with him and Jordan Poole, trying to have a 1-2 punch of Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma is not exactly gonna move the needle too much. They've been horrid in attendance. I mean, you saw it if you're a Wolves fan watching this. You saw it in the game where the Wolves just dominated them. There were more people rooting for Anthony Edwards than there were for the Washington Wizards. They're kind of a mismatch of young guys that they've drafted. They do have the big man Alex Sarr. I'm interested to see how that is going to work alongside Trae Young, because for all of Trae Young's faults, what you can't say is that he's not fun to watch and an electric player. I mean, last year, 24 points a game and 11 assists. For his career, he's almost at 25 and 9 assists for his career. So he's almost averaging a double-double with assists for his career. And if nothing else, we're getting to the specifics in a second. For Washington, this gives them something to be excited about. Not every team is trying to win a championship. Not every team is at the point where they're shooting for the stars or going to move the needle in the Eastern Conference. But you got to sell tickets. At the end of the day, the NBA is still a business. Let's be honest. If you're a Washington Wizards fan, and I'm talking like a casual Washington Wizards fan, like, I'm sure there's a ton of us, and more power to those Washington Wizards fans out there. We know exactly what this felt like as Wolves fans for years, watching crappy teams, watching games where the best player on the floor is Sebastian Telfair or Ryan Gomes, or the only reason you go to a game is watching Al Jefferson post moves, which are elite, but at the same time, there's not much to get excited about. This gets Washington fans excited. This gives them a reason to go to the game. I mean, it was only 4 years ago, remember, that Trae Young is bowing at Madison Square Garden, vanishing the Knicks, and he's the talk of the NBA. How about the fact, if you would have told me that both players in the Trae Young Luka Doncic trade, which remember they were traded for each other on draft night, if you were to tell me that both of them would be on different teams right now, if you were to tell me like in 2021 that both of those guys would be on different teams right now, I would think you were absolutely insane. I would think you're absolutely crazy. But that's what happened. The NBA, it changes all of the time. You never know. No one's safe in the NBA. And I think this is great for Trae Young. Let's take a look at Trae Young's contract. This season, he's making about $46 million. And the next season, he has a player option of $48 million. So almost $50 million for Trae Young. Obviously, it's very likely that either Trae Young is going to pick up that player option or sign an extension with the Washington Wizards. I think that's very likely that he's there long term, and that I think that's what the Hawks were looking for, a long term place for Trae Young. Now, I know that Trae Young, it didn't end the way that they thought. I mean, there were times like 2021. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were thinking, "Oh man, we could build something here. We could make a championship contender." And then they kind of went into play in hell for a little bit. They had some moments. Trae Young's winner, I believe, in Game 5 against the Boston Celtics. I don't think Atlanta fans will ever forget that. I'll never forget that either. But Trae Young, a new setting for him, a new opportunity to be in a new city, being a new situation. And like I said, that pick and roll game with Alex Sarr could be lethal. That could be a really good pick and roll game, a nice 1-2 punch there that actually makes sense. I mean, Trae Young, a lot of times with guys like Clint Capella, was Lob City in Atlanta, and it could be a lethal combination. Trae and Alex Sarr maybe unlock him a little bit. This number 2 overall pick. It's interesting. He goes from playing with the number 1 overall pick in Atlanta in Zachary Richardson to the number 2 overall pick from that draft in Alex Sarr. So interesting how things work out in the NBA. By the way, if you're just joining us, Trae Young traded for CJ McCollum and Cody Kispert. Atlanta moves off of Trae's contract. So what the starting lineups for the Wizards kind of look like right now: Trae Young, Keyshawn George, at least at full strength. Obviously, there's injuries. Coulibaly, who I like a lot, Chris Middleton, and Alex Sarr. I mean, that's not elite. That's not winning you a championship. I don't think that's making the playoffs proper, but it could give Wizards fans some excitement. I'm not going to lie. Maybe they sneak into the 10 seed. I mean, let's take a look at the NBA standings right now. And I know that the Wizards are pretty far back, and I know that everything also has to gel as well. You can't just throw a guy on a team and expect it to look like daisies immediately in. But the Washington Wizards, 10-26, which, 10 wins. I know if you're a Wolves fan, like I said, they look really bad against the Wolves. But, I mean, you give me 10 wins, 10-26, that's not too bad for Wizards basketball. And here's the other thing. Are the Chicago Bulls incentivized to hold on to the number 10 spot in the Eastern Conference? I mean, they could be selling at the deadline. Who knows? The Milwaukee Bucks might be getting rid of Giannis. They're the 11th seed at 16-20. The Charlotte Hornets, 13-24. They probably want to get in there. The Nets, 11-23, and then of course the Wizards, 10-26. I'm not saying it's likely that they're going to make the play-in, but there's a shot. There's a legitimate shot that the Wizards could grab that horrible 10 seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, looking at from a Wizards point of view, you obviously would have liked to get a pick, right? I mean, probably a no-brainer there that you would want to get a pick in that deal. But they got some expiring contracts, and they finally closed the book on the era of Trae Young. It is now Jalen Johnson's team, and rightfully so. Let's be completely honest. It's time. It's time for Jalen Johnson to take the reins. I think I haven't seen the second returns, but I think there's a good chance he's an all-star this year. I think that he is a really nice player for today's NBA. He can shoot, he can get to the basket, and maybe CJ McCollum is a nice veteran presence for that team. I don't think he's going to be there long. I think they part ways with him unless he takes a team friendly contract at the end of the season. Honestly, I think they may go with Nickeil Alexander-Walker at point guard, which, as you know, as a Wolves fan, we adore here. We love Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Miss him. He's on a nice contract. I think he could do some things with Nickeil Alexander-Walker as your starting point guard. They may put CJ McCollum in there. It'll depend if there's more moves coming for the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know. They're kind of faltering right now. Again, kind of like the Hawks with Trae, they're in the play in hell right now with the Bulls. It seems like it's last year and the year before that all over again. So I don't know. They get a decent shooter in Cody Kispert. We haven't really got to see him on a decent team yet. Maybe he can make some noise. Maybe he can provide some shooting. Atlanta, not a great offensive team, so maybe he helps out a little bit. I don't think there's a lot left in CJ McCollum, but you know, if nothing else, you say bye-bye at the end of the summer or at the end of the year, you move on and you rebuild. I mean, they got some decent pieces there. Like I said, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Zachary Ricochet as well. Vit Krejci, former Timberwolf Vit Krejci, has some nights where he's dead on shooting. And they may be building something there. I think that all the hype early on in the season for Atlanta was a little premature. I know they were playing pretty well with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I know he's kind of come to earth a little bit. And my theory is that if you're a halfway decent player, you can have some good months. Like you could step up and score 20 points a game because that's how good these guys are in the NBA. Believe me, as a Wolves fan, I've watched games where my full strength team gets beat by Kevin Knox and Shaedon Sharpe. And no shade at Shaedon Sharpe, but he wasn't Shaedon Sharpe that he is now. I'll just say that. But yeah, for the Wizards, I can't. For the Atlanta Hawks, I cannot give them a just because they didn't get any draft capital. I think it is huge that they are moving on from Trae Young and saying that we're starting over and trying something new that'll free up a lot of cap space, particularly when they can get rid of or restructure or re-sign at a small price CJ McCollum's contract. That'll be huge for them. That'll be really big. But it's saying it's Trae wanted to leave. It's where he wanted to go. They did right by him. They were talking on No Dunks, the podcast, which I love, and you should subscribe to as well. Subscribe to me as well, Running with the Timberwolves. We do a ton of different stuff. We do short form videos, long form podcasts. In fact, we have a more traditional one coming out on Friday, so stay tuned for that. With actually Cole from 612 Tees, he's going to be on the show, and we got some exciting stuff coming up as well. But this is a move for the Washington Wizards, who are been last or close to last in attendance, to get some excitement in their franchise, and it'll be nice. It'll be fun. Trae's going to shoot a lot, kind of like Jordan Poole, but believe me, I'd much rather have Trae Young than Jordan Poole on this team. I would rather have Trae Young leading my team than Jordan Poole. But good for Wizards fans. I'm really happy for them. Get something. You just need something, and maybe they can build something. You know, it was really the only place Trae could go because of his contract. Who's going to take him on. I mean, there was rumors of Minnesota, which I wanted no part of. There were rumors of Memphis, which I don't think that would make any sense either. But I mean, the Wizards, they have the cap space to do it. They went out, they did it, and more power to them. Congratulations to the Washington Wizards. They got a guy who's still only 27 years old. I mean, he's technically still in his prime, right? And I heard them talking on No Dunks that Trae was supposed to be Steph Curry, and he didn't turn out that way. Just doesn't shoot well enough. Just does not shoot. If you look at his field goal percentage for his career, it's not just 1 year. It's in the low 40s the entire, and the 3-point percentage in 34%. Your best player on a contending team, it can't be that. You need pieces around him. You can't have him shoot that much and expect to win in any capacity. But like I said, I think the Wizards' attendance is going to go up. I think the fan base is going to be happy about this. Like I mentioned, as a Wolves fan, just getting someone in there that can play, someone in there that can make some buzz, or your cat. Like, for example, bringing a friend to a game who doesn't like the NBA or is a casual NBA fan. You're going, right? And you can tell them, oh, we just so your friend. Let's say we live in DC, right? And I asked my friend, hey, you want to go to a Wizards game? I got some tickets. Like, let's go down. Like, oh yeah, like who's on the team? Like, you got like a bunch of young guys, or who? Like, is Porzingis still there? Or there was like Jordan something. I don't know. Like who? Yeah, and then Wizards fans could say, oh, we just got Trae Young. And if they know anything about the NBA, they've heard of Trae Young, and they can go, "Oh, cool! So yeah, he's entertaining." I remember that I saw him in the playoffs once. He bowed at Madison Square Garden. That's cool. Yeah, let's go to the game. Just something to get excited about. These owners, it's not all about winning championships, and I know for the Wolves, it is right now. We need one. We need the Minnesota curse gone, and whatever team does that is going to be uh, bona fide in Minnesota lore for decades to come. I can guarantee you that. Like there's gonna be documentaries. There's gonna be 30 for 30s about breaking the Minnesota curse, kind of like there was for when Cleveland won the championship in 20. I think it was 2016, maybe 2017. I can't remember to be 73 and 9 Warriors. Which, by the way, quick Wolves note, as we mentioned on the last podcast, the Wolves were one of the 9 teams to beat the Golden State Warriors that year. But I digress. Back to the main meat topic here. This is something for Washington. Build for the future. Build around your young guys. Build some camaraderie there. Build some higher attendance. Get some buzz going back. And I don't know, depending on how Trae plays, I mean, could they convince him when his contract is up, because he's probably going to take his player option or restructure? He's probably going to be 28, 29. And I swear, by the way, I'm coughing a lot and I'm not a smoker. I just want to let you know that. But he's going to be 28, 29. Could they convince him to take a pay cut to get some players around him? I don't know. We'll have to see about that. But like I said, trade grades, once again, I would give the Washington Wizards an A. I think it's just a win for them, just a win for the franchise. And I'm interested to read discourse online from Wizards fans, but I think they're happy. Anytime you get a star, even if it's a damaged goods star, even if it's one who there's definitely, it's obvious to see the downside, right? Like, he's horrible defensively. The Wizards are a horrible defensive team, but they're also a horrible offensive team. And offense is what Trae Young does. Not efficiently, but he's going to win you a couple games. A couple. I'm not saying a ton, right? I'm not saying 20, 30 games. He's going to win you some games that you would not have won if you didn't. If you didn't have Trae Young or you had CJ McCollum. I'm just saying. He's going to win you a couple games down the stretch. And that's big. That's big for when you're just trying to make the play-in. Like, it seems like that the Washington Wizards are doing, or trying to do at least. That's big. That the couple of wins can be the difference of watching the play in on Tuesday night from home and playing in it. And by the way, Washington's strength of schedule going forward, 20th in the league. So, and then the teams around them that they're trying to pass. And like I said, I don't think they're going to make the plan. I'm saying there's a chance. Charlotte has a slightly easier road according to strength of schedule, but it's really really close. But I mean, other teams like Brooklyn's at 14 strength of schedule. Who else? No, Indiana doesn't matter. Indiana's not making it this year. I'm sorry to break it to you, Indiana fans, but I think it's too big a hole. If you please tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Milwaukee is the 7th greatest strength of schedule. I mean, yeah, some of these teams could struggle down the stretch or sell at the deadline, and maybe a team like Charlotte sneaks in there. Yeah, it's absolutely not a bad day for Washington Wizards fans. Particularly, I mean, I know that Washington sports isn't exactly up right now. Got to be honest, I have no idea what the Capitals are doing. I could not tell you. I don't know if they're a good team. I know they have Ovechkin. Congratulations on the scoring record. That's all I know about the Capitals. But disappointing year out of the Commanders. Rough year out of the Commanders. But this is a nice win after that rough year where Wizards fans just thought, we're just going to watch young guys and we're going to tank and we're going to be one of the worst teams in the league and hopefully we get a nice draft pick. Well, maybe this will help. Maybe this will get you some wins. When you're a bad team, some wins that you didn't think you were going to win is a nice feeling. It is really a nice feeling. So congratulations, Wizards fans. I give you an A. For the Hawks, I'll give you a B minus, probably. I would say, give or take. But yeah, we'll say a B minus, just because you didn't get any picks. And I don't know how much Cody Kispert and CJ McCollum moves the needle, particularly when one of your stars has PODS disease and can only play like every other game. I mean, there's an epidemic with, and we've talked about it on the show, with big men right now in the NBA. There really is. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop it there. My voice is just hanging on. I actually just got back from basketball, so I jumped on immediately. I got to take a shower. But make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Give a 5-star rating on Spotify. And as always, go Woods. Go Wolves, I should say. And how about them Wizards? Big day for the Wiz Kids. Oh, by the way, I am in Minneapolis. Ice, if you could leave, that'd be great. Have a good night.